In our supermarkets today, there are a limited number of apples to choose from. They'll look great, they'll store well in the fridge, but the taste, well, sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. But we shouldn't have to be limited to Honeycrisp or Gala or Red Delicious and the other varieties that we find in the supermarket. That's because there are literally thousands of named apple varieties in the world, and each has a different character. Some are sweet, some have interesting fruity, floral, or spicy flavors. We went to the O'Keefe Grange orchard near Port Elgin, Ontario. The owner is Bill O'Keefe. He works with his wife Lynn, and he works with his son Sean and his daughter-in-law Kathy to grow these unique trees. They graft new trees and sell them to homeowners who want to grow them in their yards. They also make cider, pies, fritters, and they preserve apple diversity in any way they can. Bill is passionate about the history of the apples that he grows. Many of them are linked to American history.
This variety is Newtown Pippin. It was George Washington's most favorite apple. And it's actually one of my top 10 favorite apples. It's hard when you grow over 600 varieties how you can have a favorite, but I find it very nice. George Washington actually made a fortune off of this apple.
Some of the other trees that Bill grows come all the way from England, like Blenheim orange.
This here is Blenheim orange. It's an English apple. It's quite interesting. I also like this one. The wood was so hard on the Blenheim orange apple tree that when the first railroad cars were made, they were in England. They were actually made out of wooden spokes in the wheels, and this wood was so hard that they used the wood from the Blenheim orange apple to make the spokes.
Here in Canada, we have an apple that also goes back to the 1700s. It's called Snow, and it was one of the most commonly grown apples in Quebec until a disease in the late 1800s wiped out many of the trees. Snow is said to have a slight strawberry flavor.
It's actually the mother of Macintosh. They say through DNA you can find out whose parents is who, and they've found out that the snow apple, one of the seeds it's the mother to Macintosh.
As it turns out, apples aren't really that different from wine. If you take the time to evaluate the flavors, you will detect very different subtleties.
Cavell Blanc is a French apple, and it sounds like a wine, smells like a banana, and has more vitamin C than an orange. So the flavors are there. Sometimes they're like wine, like tasting wines. You have to kind of look for them a little bit.
And like fine wine, the flavor of an apple can change over time.
Although it's been picked off the tree, this apple is alive. It's the same in the grocery store. It will not taste the same tomorrow as it does today. It's giving off oxygen and taking in carbon monoxide and creating heat. The starches in here are turning to sugar, and that's what changes the flavor of them.
The O'Keefes have faced many challenges over the years. Windstorms have blown down some of their trees. They don't use toxic chemical sprays. So the trees do sometimes get common apple tree diseases like scab or fire blight. This year, a late frost killed some of the blossoms, so many of the trees didn't even produce fruit this year. But Bill and his family are committed to keeping these rare and unusual cultivars alive.
When I first started this, I wanted to create apple trees that had stories and histories to them, and that was my main focus at the time. If the apple's lost, it becomes extinct, so do the stories, and so you lose that.
We enjoyed our visit to O'Keefe Grange and came back with a full appreciation of the importance of apple diversity. We also learned that real apples may not look perfect. They may have blemishes and bruises here and there, but the flavor is what really matters. And thankfully, while Honeycrisp looks good and it tastes good too, it's not the only apple left in the world.